Hello. I would like to talk about two things that are very similar, that are very American. I would like to talk about football and politics. Now, both of them very big business. They get a lot of attention, and they both pit two teams, highly competitive against one another, with their own fervent fans going nuts. So it's an analogy that I could take any number of ways, and maybe I will later if people are interested. We'll see after this posts. But what I want to talk about right now is something very specific. Now let's start with football. So in football, you have this thing called the challenge flag. It's a relatively new concept, but what it is a team is saying, hey, that last call, we really strongly disagree with it, and we would like it to be looked at again, extra special close, just to make sure that it was the right call. So an NFL coach has two of these challenge flags in their pocket. They can throw them after, let's say there's a touchdown, back corner of the end zone, somebody catches a pass, the refs put the hands up, touchdown, and the defensive coach says, nah, his foot was out of bounds. You better look at that again. I do not believe that was a touchdown. Throws the flag, and the refs convene, pick that flag up, they go into their little tent thing, they start looking at the replays, they take their time, they're very thorough, make sure that they have a unanimous decision. Meanwhile, we get some commercials, we have some jerk off in the studio who tells us what he thinks, but all play has ground to a halt. There's nothing else going on until the refs come back and they figure out, A, yes, you are correct, incomplete pass, his foot was out of bounds, here's your flag back, we'll go on with the next down. Or conversely, you were wrong, coach, his foot was clearly inbounds, it's still a touchdown. Now in that case, the coach is not off the hook. The coach not only has a 6-point swing going against him, but also he loses that challenge flag. And like I said, there are only 2 of them per game. And also, he gets assessed a timeout, which, later in the game could prove to be very valuable. So that's football. Now the closest thing to the challenge flag in football, in politics, is the filibuster. The filibuster has been around a very long time. It's been around since the days of Julius Caesar. So what the filibuster is basically the party with the minority stake, with less than 50% of representation, is looking at a piece of legislation that the majority party is putting forth, and they're saying, we don't like this. We don't just want to vote on this. We believe that this is bad. We know that we have the minority of votes that this will probably pass. However, we are so vehemently opposed to it that we are going to sit here and argue as long as it takes for you to see our side. Even though we're the smaller side, we believe that we're right. So they get up, or used to get up, and they would talk for hours and hours and hours till they were blue in the face, basically. And the only counter to the filibuster is to do a vote where you need much more than a simple majority. So let's take the Senate, which has 100 votes, 2 for each state, and instead of needing a 51% majority, after a filibuster, right now you need a 3/5 majority vote, which is 60 out of the 100 possible votes, which is a lot more. Let's see. So in the Senate, you have 2 senators per state. So now you need 9 more votes, 60 over 51. That's like 4.5 more states need to side with this piece of legislation for it to go through. So it's no small thing. But now, strangely enough, what is new about the filibuster is that ever since kind of the late 70s, you don't even have to get up and talk. You don't even have to get up and blah, 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 blah incessantly. Instead, you can just say, well, we would like to filibuster that. That was kind of my Mitch McConnell impression. I don't look enough like a turtle, but you get me. They just declare that they want a filibuster, and it's so, and then the legislation needs a 3/5 majority vote. Now, unlike the challenge flag, you have a lot more than 2 filibusters. In fact, it's limitless. So in the last 2 years, the party with the minority in Congress, in the Senate, the Republican Party, has filibustered over 100 times in the last 2 years. That's a lot. And they're filibustering things like Senator Hagel's nomination for Secretary of Defense, which filibustering a cabinet nomination does not happen very often. It's a pretty rare thing. That would be like the football equivalent of throwing a challenge flag after a point after kick. It doesn't really make sense. So there's no penalty for calling a filibuster. There's nothing to be lost, so why not do it? And that's what the Republicans have done. Now, it probably seems to you at home like I am pointing the finger of blame firmly at Republicans. But we humans are born with two index fingers for pointing, or two middle fingers if you're nasty. So, Senator Harry Reid, a senator from the great state of Nevada, he's also the Senate Majority Leader. He's been saying for a long time, boo the filibuster. This has become mutated. It's an abomination now. We have to do something about it. And oddly enough, coincidentally, at the beginning of this session of Congress, he could do something about it. It was a chance that they could ratify the filibuster, really change it up, and keep it from being the way that it is now. So what did Harry Reid do? Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. He could have done it, could have done something, and he failed to. Instead, he struck a handshake deal with the other side across the aisle, which is kind of ironic because not too long ago he said, we will not strike a handshake deal because those don't work. So we have nothing to look forward to except more and more filibustering, which, much like the challenge flag, much like it did for civil rights back in the day, it is going to ground progress to a complete halt, which means nothing's going to happen. And you know something? In my opinion, right now things need to happen. Right now, our government, our country, is in a pretty bad place. And we need action, we need solutions. We do not need to sit there and have every single piece of legislation, appointment, vote, end up with this crazy majority that it needs to get. We need decisions to be made. We need solutions to be enacted. Otherwise, it's going to be like one of those football games where after every play you get a penalty or a timeout or the lights in the stadium go out. We don't want the lights to go out on this country. At least I don't. Do you? Thanks for watching.